When large jobs require moving massive amounts of snow, get the work done quickly and efficiently with the Western Pile Driver and all-new Pile Driver XL pusher plows, both featuring Trace Edge technology. These pushers scrape down to the pavement with an advanced cutting-edge system that has independent 2-foot sections that move vertically, oscillate, and trip. Get more jobs done faster with the Western Pile Driver lineup of pusher plows.
Mike Bott from Frost Solutions, one of the owners of the company. What we do is provide a mini weather station to give you a tailored forecast to those particular locations so you know where and when and what to do in those parts of town. You know there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that people can experience tremendous value having a technology like this.
Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey with your host, Dave Westcott. The Entrepreneurial Journey is a weekly podcast that streams live every Tuesday at 9:15 a.m. Pacific on Dave's YouTube channel and LinkedIn profile. Now here's Dave with this week's episode.
Good morning and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey. I'm your host, Dave Westcott. I have with me co-host Todd Chapman and special guest Jeen Stork, co-owner of Stork's Snow Plows. Good morning.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm loving that you're on the show. Stork's Plows, one of the largest snow and ice dealers for equipment in the U.S., specifically selling a lot of Western equipment. How'd you get into this?
So 3 months before I was born, my dad bought his first plow and started a plowing business. So
okay,
he bought that in '79 and had about 30 contracts in the early 80s until we bought our shop, which was in 1986, and found that he couldn't keep up with those contracts and be running his own shop because in the beginning he was the secretary, the mechanic, everything.
Right.
So he couldn't do both. He gave up the contracts, but we still owned a whole fleet of plow trucks, and they basically went on the lot for sale, but it just kind of never went away. We would sell some, buy more, and we always had plows. So yeah, it grew in the mid 90s. It grew into more snowplow stuff. And then in the early 2000s, we started transitioning. In 2015, we actually closed down the rest of the business. The automotive side was closed, the notary, all that stuff we got out of so we could focus 100% on snow and ice. And that's all we do anymore.
Wow, that's awesome. That kind of laser focus. So you had Stork's Auto, a general auto repair shop specializing in Jeeps. You had, different things going on. What was it that brought that laser focus to just say, I want to focus on this? Was it some coaching? How did you decide to do that?
For me, it just made sense because in the winter, we had automotive customers coming in saying, hey, I need an inspection. It runs out next week and we got to squeeze them in. But we have plow customers, it takes all day, half a day, whatever, to install a snowplow. And we're booking them out a month. And now we're squeezing in our automotive customer for a small $30 job. And it just didn't make sense. And our mechanics were not enjoying it. You're switching gears every day from working on cars to working on plows. And I had pushed my parents a little bit to make that transition. And they said, well, if this winter goes well, then we'll consider doing that. And that's what we did. We had a good winter and threw a party for our automotive customers, told them that we're shutting down that section and we're going to focus on the snowplow stuff. And it really changed the attitude around the place and everything because everyone was a lot happier being focused on one thing instead of constantly changing gears. we started as automotive, but in the end, no one was enjoying that side of it. It was just the necessary evil we thought we had to do to be in business. And once we focused on it, then the business grew a lot on the plow side. And yeah, I think that just came from that focus, because then people noticed, well, that they're good at what they do because this is all they do.
I love that
that's awesome.
you can't be all things to all people.
Yeah, master. Yeah, right. Master of all, right? Is or jack of all, master of none. Obviously, you guys have some amazing growth, Jeen. What do you contribute to that growth over the years? I mean, obviously, getting that singular focus on snow, but what else has contributed to your scaling the business up?
Our website. We went online with a lot of stuff. About 2006 is when we opened up the e-commerce website. At that time, in the early 2000s, I was on the phone a lot, answering snowplow questions, helping people with wiring and mounts, and it was really just me that could answer a lot of those questions, and I hated being on the phone. So the original website was built only to answer those questions. We put the website up trying to get every piece of information I had in my brain about plow mounts and wiring and stuff accessible to our customers to slow down the phone calls. And what we found happened is the phone calls multiplied, because now people are saying, oh, they know what they're talking about, and they start calling, asking more questions. So we continued to dump into that website, but what came from that is building an amazing resource on the back end for being able to onboard employees and being able to answer those same questions. Because before it was, tribal knowledge with my dad and I, and it wasn't shared to the people in the office. So it always had to come to one of us to be able to solve any of those questions. But once we started investing time to get all that information on our website and on internal programs we have, now they can answer those questions quickly, because they know the information now, or if they don't, they know how to find it.
I love it.
That's great.
At Stork's Plows, what lines, what products do you sell? What brands manufacture?
So we just love snow and ice. So we'll really sell anything that's snow and ice. We buy a lot of dealers out, so then we end up getting brands that we don't really sell. But Western is our #1 brand. We sell Fisher, SnowX, Myers, Boss. Yeah, I mean, those would be our main brands, but we have other lines that we sell as well. And when it comes to used stuff, we also deal in used plows and equipment. And same thing with those, we'll sell pretty much any brand that's a decent brand.
All right, I'm going to tell you a story about Stork's Plows. So this is my own personal experience. So this was many years ago. I needed to buy a snow plow, and I needed to add one to the fleet, and I didn't want to buy a new plow, and I was like, I'm gonna buy a used plow, and I'm in Seattle, all the way across the country from you, and Portland is about 4 hours away, and a guy was selling a straight blade Western plow, and I was like, okay. Go down, look at it, and I don't know what he wanted for it. $800 cash, $1,000 cash, something like that. So I buy the plow, and he's like, all the parts are here, and here's the wiring mount, and this and that, and everything. And we look it up, and we're like, okay, it looks like it's all there. It looks like everything's what we need it to be. And we go to our local Western dealer, and we're like, hey, can you put this on the truck? And he's like, nope, not putting that on the truck. That thing's a piece of junk, but I'll sell you a new one. And I'm like, hey, man, I don't want to buy a new one. I don't want to spend, I think the equivalent PAL's around $5,700 or $6,000, something like that at the time. I don't know what it is now, but I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that. And I'm getting the runaround. So we go to another Western dealer, having problems, won't put it together. and it's just a nightmare. And so we have an internal mechanic. We can typically weld or put anything on a truck. We can put anything on a truck. We've, in the early days, we've even built a couple of snow plows, out of sheet metal. So like we can do these things. So we're like, okay, we need to get some parts for this thing. We can't figure out what age it is. No one's helping us locally. So, we put a call in to a Western supply rep, and he's like, listen, you got to call Stork's Plows. He's like, these are the guys who are going to help you out. So sure enough, our mechanic gets on the phone, calls over to your office, gets the help he needs, gets the part he needs. The plow's like, 20 years old or something, gets the information, and sure enough, the plow gets up and running. But locally, no one was helping us get that plow up and running. So it was just a great testament to your business and, looking out, for us as a customer and helping point us in the right direction, getting us what we needed. And that's always stuck with me about Stork Plows and, what you guys deliver. I love that story because it's about helping your customer. And, at the time, buying a new plow, it just wasn't in the cards at that moment. And so I love that about your business. I may have shared that story with you when we talked at SIMA last time. I can't remember, but I love that about your business, just the customer service, the going above and beyond. And that's a love for what you do. And my question to you is, where does that love for snow come from?
Being brought up around it, I have always loved snow. I grew up in a plow truck. I was 1 or 2 years old when both my parents plowed snow. It wasn't just my dad. They had 30 parking lots. So my sister and I would live in the plow truck for a couple days till they got their lots done. Even 1, 2 years old, they'd wrap us in blankets. And, so I remember being very young and kind of looking up and seeing out of the Jeep Wagoneers we drove and stuff. So, people now, I hear people say things like, oh, I bet you love when it snows. And they're thinking because, oh, we bring in money. It's like, no, I'm more in this business because I love snow to begin with. Like bringing in the money is not really the fun part of it. I just love snow. I love the sound when it covers the ground and it's quiet. I love when you're out on the road and you're the first one and it's no tracks. All that stuff is just, I've always loved snow.
I love that.
That's awesome.
I love that at nighttime when it's covered in snow and it's perfectly white, it's super bright out. The reflection of the moon and the lights and everything. I love that it takes the darkness away. That's just something that I've always loved while we're sharing things we love about
and the peace though. Like you shared, just that stillness that is there,
Yep.
Not because it's middle of the night, but it's also, like you said, just the sound that it allows. So it's awesome.
It's just, it disrupts and, brings out good things. I remember in the mid-90s, we had a big blizzard and we were standing in the middle of the highway because it was completely shut down. And all of our neighbors were out there, neighbors that we hardly ever see. They're all out of their house because they were shoveling their front porch. And everyone just came to the road and they're standing in the road talking. I just love the fact that it disrupts the normal and causes some things like that to happen.
Yeah, bring some communities together, right? And one of the things about community and just associations, obviously, we participate heavily in SIMA, but you also tell us about Snow Alliance, and kind of the vision that you have for that.
Yeah, so I was talking to a customer at one of our open houses and found a desire in him to have a connection with others in the industry, and that's something that I've had. And so in that conversation, I realized there's more of us out there that really would like to get together and improve this industry. So it was just a matter of sitting down and coming up with ideas. And from what I originally thought it was going to be to what it turned into were two different things. But it turned out amazing. Everyone that has come seems to love it. It's about innovation, education, and collaboration. So I realized after that conversation that I have a connection with tons of contractors at Plow, as well as good connections with the manufacturers. And I thought this is an opportunity to bring them together to a level where they can communicate that doesn't really happen in other places, to be able to improve those products as well as just change the industry by bringing people together.
That's awesome. How did you get connected on that? I mean, is it for anybody? I mean, what is it? Who you guys usually associate and work with on that?
So the initial plan, I was figuring it would be our local customers, and just the opportunity to bring them together and kind of think, what are your problems? What can we do on our side of the business to help you guys with what you're struggling with on the contractor side? And we shared it online, so Facebook and a lot on LinkedIn. But what actually happened was we had people from all over. This past one, we had people here from 21 different states.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Only a portion of it was our local people, and a lot of them weren't even our customers, which is fine. It's they're guys that are using equipment that we may not have what they're selling or anything. And even a lot of the vendors that we have it's not stuff we sell. It's not
Wow.
like our open house where we're doing a sale and we're trying to make sales out of it. Snow Alliance is a whole different thing than Stork's Plows. It's just hosted here and run by us, but it's really about improving the industry. So I bring in lots of competition to just basically show everyone what's out there, so you can see all the options and not just some of them.
How many years has Snow Alliance been running?
This was our second.
Okay, wow. Congratulations,
Yeah, that's
man.
awesome.
What an
Thanks.
what an incredible success. It's awesome what you guys are doing. You mentioned earlier that Western was your number one brand. You sell Fisher Snow X. Why do you think that Western is the number one brand you guys sell?
For one, we personally love Western, and that's what we have on our own trucks. So it's not, I mean, all the brands we could be pushing, but if someone comes in with an open mind and wants just to know our recommendation, that's what we plow with. It's what we love. Fisher and Snow X are obviously related to Western and
Yep.
also offer very good products. So it's not quality or anything, but between those three. But the mount on the Western, definitely love the Ultra mount and the ground clearance you get out of it, the pivot bar, the dual acting cylinders on the V plow. Yeah,
I love the Western plows too. I think it's my personal favorite as well. And if I'm talking to, a colleague or somebody and they say, "What do you run?" I love the Western V plow. I love the straight edge plow. I love the pile driver. I think that's a great piece of equipment. I love the live trace edge that allows us to scrape and contour the ground. And I also love the people. And I love that the manufacturing is done in America. I don't know all of those things check boxes for me when I'm choosing, what kind of equipment that I'm going to put on. I love the customer service. Even in that story that I told you about, that old plow and getting it hooked up and how you guys hooked us up, there was a rep that we talked to who helped us get in touch with you. There was somebody who went above and beyond and say, "Hey, they're really supposed to sell in their own markets, but we really believe in taking care of our customers. You need this. Let me connect you with a group of people who can help you." And not everybody does that. And on this entrepreneurial journey that we're on, that you are on, that I'm on, it's about helping people. It's about relationships. It's about building the best business you can being an entrepreneur is hard. The journey that your parents took, before buying the shop in 1986 and the 30 plowing contracts and, everything that you have built and that your family has built and that you've put together, like it's not all sunshine and roses. There's tough times. There's difficult moments. I imagine that, growing up in a second generation family and, taking over the parents' business, I bet there's challenges there. There's probably a whole podcast around what does it mean to be multi-generational and taking over a business. And so I love that, but I love the customer service. I love how Western takes care of us. I love how there's always somebody available. That's just my own personal feel. And so I love that we share that in business. I've been dying to know, what is it like taking over a business from your parents? I know that's not on our main list, but
yeah, my dad is still involved in the business.
okay.
I've been working in the business since, I was 7 or 8 years old when I started, just helping out, not knowing what I was doing, but picking up things in the parking lot or whatever I could do. But about 12 years old was when I started actually working on stuff and starting to rebuild plow pumps and stuff like that. So it kind of always, as I was a teenager, people would say, oh, he's going to take over, so that was always kind of there, but it was not that long ago when the transition really started to take hold. My dad has always given me support and let me run with my ideas. Probably not so much in my high school years. There were a lot of battles there, but once I got out, I've had to do some things on my own to kind of prove that I'm moving the right direction with things. And even though, he thought he had his own idea and mine wasn't good, then I would do it anyway and just kind of show him that it works. And eventually, he started getting behind me on all that stuff. So, he's very supportive of my ideas and basically tells people that I run the business. He works in the back and keeps the shop running and loads a lot of trucks. And, he's a hard worker, but he doesn't like the office side of things or the management side of things. So kind of works. He lets me run a lot of that.
Is it cool seeing your dad every day at work? Or do you see him every day at work?
Yeah.
That's got to be a special thing. I know seeing my dad, like taking it for, my dad's 91. I try to call him and talk to him once a week. I used to talk to him every day, but now that he's 91, he can't work the phone as well. So like if he's not there, it's crazy, but he can't get the phone answered. So I got to call, my mom's around, help him get it set up. And I think to myself, man, I wish I could see my dad every day. Man, I wish I could talk. I can't even talk to him every day because my mom's not there. I can't get him on, you can call him over and over, but he won't answer. He doesn't respond to text messages because he can't remember how to work the phone. So, being with your dad, what an awesome thing. And I wonder sometimes, like, do you think, oh man, I'm just working with dad? Or do you sit back and think, oh, this is really special. I get to spend time with my dad. And with your own kids, are your own kids involved in the business? Is it going to be a third generation partnership, collaboration? What do you see there?
Yeah. So my son, he's out of school now. So he's, for the summer, he's 13, but he's been coming to work almost every day and working here, pulling weeds, mowing, doing whatever we send him out to do. But yeah, he talks like he's very interested in being part of the business when he gets older.
Would you love that for him?
Yeah, if he wants it. You look at studies and third generation's a scary thing because a lot of times they end up running the business into the ground. So I want to make sure he gets it right and doesn't.
So knowing that happens, are there any things that you've put in place, or are you training him or teaching him in any certain way to try to prevent that from happening?
Yeah, I can't think of anything specifically that I'm doing, but yes, I mean, I've listened to a lot of podcasts and just try to educate myself on what the trend is and why it happens, and try to make sure that we're not, enabling him to be in that position.
Yeah.
Where, I was brought up in the business when my parents bought it in 86. They didn't have the money to even buy for the down payment. They borrowed that from my grandfather.
Hmm.
And they didn't have a dollar to pay for their first monthly payment for the business. But a drunk driver came through our parking lot and totaled all of the vehicles that they owned in one hit.
Wow.
And the insurance gave them the money to get going with it. So, I grew up through all that. I know how hard it was. Like, you look at the business now, if you don't know where we came from, it's an impressive business and looks like we're doing real well. But you go back 30 years and look at what we had been through those first 10 years. It was a lot of work. It was challenging.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
We talk about that all the time with entrepreneurs, that have been in the business so long, about the perseverance, the grit that it takes. There's so many people that see the product as it is today, but they don't know the long hours. And, just getting to know Dave over time, talking to a lot of people like yourself, and it's amazing just that perseverance. And by the way, I mean, my son's 12, so, next summer, if he's in 13, what do we have to do to coordinate? I mean, if there's extra weeds or whatever, I can shoot him off to you for the few weeks for the summer to get him going and get him trained up, man. So, got another worker in the wings for you.
I think that an overnight success takes years in the making. I think that's the quote that I like to stick with. It's tough. All right, we're getting close to time. This has been an absolutely fabulous show. As entrepreneurs, whether you're a snowplow provider, whether you're running a shop, whether you're running an ice cream parlor, what's one tip that you would leave with anybody wanting to be an entrepreneur in today's business environment?
It would go back to the story you told. A common saying that I push here is, how can we improve the life of the customer? So when a guy comes in with an older plow and he wants to get that on, what do most places do? They want to sell him a new plow. That's not our goal here. That may, in short term, be the best financial situation, and that's why people do that. But we don't believe that's the best long-term plan for us as a business, and it's definitely not what's best for the customer. And sometimes maybe the customer is doing something that's a waste of money, and we will lay out the options.
Sure.
But I mean, trying to sell him a new plow just because you don't want to sell him some small parts to get his plow put on is a very common practice, and that's not the way we do business. So, I'm always telling the office people to constantly ask themselves, when you're on the phone, whatever it is, how can I improve the life of the customer? Because it's different for everybody, and it may be selling him a part that's $1, and it costs us $10 to take the order and to ship it out.
Yeah.
But if it's really what they need, they'll feel taken care of, and they'll be back next time they need something.
Absolutely, they will. I believe that for sure.
That's great. I mean, I love that just because, again, it's the short-term versus long-term thinking, right? In the short term, there's dollar signs, but you may lose the customer from that experience. I mean, Dave talked about several others, right, that were trying to do that same thing, and looking for the relationship side of it. So, I just love that. So great call, Jeen. Great talking with you, and great job with Snow Alliance again. Love what you guys are doing to improve the industry as a whole.
Thank you.
Jeen, before we close, one, if people are interested in Snow Alliance, I absolutely love it. I saw everybody who attended. I'd love to attend it. How can anybody in the audience, anybody who's listening, how can they learn more about Snow Alliance? When is it? How do they learn more? Share with us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so next year it is April 26th. That is a Saturday. We are doing a welcome party as well on April 25th. So it'll be the 25th and 26th. The 25th will just be like dinner and networking, and then the 6th is all day event. We're planning to put the tickets on sale about February. It is limited. Last year we had 175 seats and we sold out. This year we are raising it to 225. So we will have more than we had last year, but I believe it's going to sell out again. There's been a lot of interest in it. We do have a website, which is snow-alliance.com, but follow Stork's Plows on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook, because that's where we put up most of our posts. We do keep updated info on that website page, but if you follow us, you'll get the updates.
Awesome. And if anybody's looking to buy a Western Fisher Snow X, whatever they're putting on their truck or whatever equipment they're running out today, what region do you service?
We ship everywhere. We ship out of the country.
You ship out of the country.
We shipped about 5 tractor trailer loads of parts and plows to a customer in Canada, but we ship all over the world.
That's awesome. So for our audience, if you're looking for a new snowplow, if you're looking for snow equipment, check out Stork's Plows. Absolutely incredible. I shared my story of an incredible customer experience with Stork's Plows. They helped me out. They helped me get it going the right way. Check them out. Buy some product. Buy your product. Amazing product. Check it out. And finally, Jeen, if someone wants to reach out, what's the best way? Is it through Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn? Where can someone touch base with you?
Yeah, I answer all of those. LinkedIn is probably the easiest one out of those 3. You could also go right to our website, storksplows.com, and we have contact info on there.
Awesome. You heard it here first. That was a fantastic show. Connect with Jeen. Follow him on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Follow Stork's Plows. Check out the Snow Alliance. Absolutely incredible. I'm your host, Dave Westcott. Follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're running a marathon, having some fun with that. Check it out. We're having a good time. If you want to connect with me, if you have a question, shoot me a DM on LinkedIn. That's the best and easiest place to get a hold of me. If you liked this show, give us a like, give us a share. We're back every Tuesday, 9:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Jeen, it's been absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much for being on the show. Todd, as always, you're great. Have a great day.
Yep, thank you.
Mike Bott from Frost Solutions, one of the owners of the company. What we do is provide a mini weather station to give you a tailored forecast to those particular locations, so you know where and when and what to do in those parts of town. You know there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that people can experience tremendous value having a technology like this.
Introducing the all-new Western Enforcer V-Plow. Engineered with all the features, efficiency, and performance of full-size Western V-Plows, built specifically for your half-ton truck. For more information, visit westernplows.com.